All right, y'all, welcome to the show. I got an awesome one for you today. So the theme of the show is lying. There's going to be many, many liars who we discuss in detail. So I'm going to kick it off here with George Santos in a second. He did an interview with Piers Morgan. Wee bit of a mistake, if you ask me. Dude, you should be hiding, you should be hiding behind a dumpster at an Arby's or something. Like, you should be trying to run away from the spotlight, but he can't help himself. So we'll talk about that. We have a Supreme Court case that is so important that it might actually destroy the internet. I wish that was hyperbole. It most definitely is not. We'll talk about that. Don Lemon, we have an update. Was he fired? Was he just suspended? What's his punishment? I'll give you the specifics. East Palestine, we have some new, very, very concerning information coming out of there. And Alex Jones is, I'm telling you, man, he is getting lazy. Like, there's not even an element of creativity anymore to his nonsense. And this new clip really, really highlights that, so stay tuned for that. So we'll dive into it in a second, but real quick, shameless plugs. Everybody, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1 million subs. We are super close. We just hit 990,000, 10K away. When we hit that million number, we'll do a stream, and we'll celebrate, and we'll have confetti and kazoos. I don't know if I've ever used a kazoo in my life. I'm talking about the party favorite things where you blow into it and then the thing like unfolds. Okay. This has gotten off track, hasn't it? Anyway, subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 1 million subs. The YouTube algorithm's not too kind to us. We're trying to sort of subvert that. If you subscribe, like the videos, comment, all that fun stuff, that helps us get there. Also, click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, we're also on Spotify. If you're trying to escape the YouTube algorithm and you want to listen to the entire show in one block, you can go to Spotify. We drop a podcast every day. We have a show on there. So anyway, that's that. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So George Santos, he is quite a story, right? The guy is now known for just being the liar. He's not like a liar among liars. He's a liar above liars. He is the supreme liar. He's lied about every aspect of his life, even things that, like, it would be preposterous for anybody to consider lying about. He lied about it. Okay, so he goes on Piers Morgan's show, and look, I'm not a fan of Piers Morgan. In fact, I find him kind of grating and annoying. But having said that, he does a phenomenal job in this interview. I can't imagine anybody doing a better job. There, I'm going over the top with it. So anyway, here we go. I highlighted some of the more interesting parts for you. Let's kick it off.
To just tell blatant lies about even your academic record, I'm just struck, not necessarily that a politician would lie, but that you would think no one would find out.
Well, I'll humor you this. I ran in 2020 for the same exact seat for Congress, and I got away with it then, and I guess...
Right. Well, that's honest.
Stupid.
So you thought...
Look, this is the most honest thing he's ever said. He's like, I ran in 2020. I told all the lies then. Nobody caught on to it. So I was like, hey, dog, all systems go. Man, that's incredible. By the way, this is like one of the only honest things he says in the interview, as you'll see.
Actually, they're not going to find out.
No, I didn't think so. But to that effect, it's embarrassing. It's humbling to have to admit your faults as a human being. And I wish, genuinely, if the media put the equal amount of efforts and resources, and I'm not saying this as villainizing the media, but just let's keep it fair, on all 435 members of the House and 100 members of the Senate, I think the American people would have more clarity of who represents them in Congress. I'm not saying...
I would say, I think the media...
That's interesting because he's saying, look, they all lie as much as I do. I'm just the only one who got caught. I honestly don't believe that. As much as politicians are liars, he is an order of magnitude worse. I don't think there's any denying that, but he's trying to do like a false equivalence type thing to take the heat off of himself, which of course is something he would do. But yeah, if you put all the members of Congress under a microscope, you would find a lot of lies, and maybe even some egregious lies. But the difference is, those guys, they're like corrupt, but they color within the lines. So, campaign contributions is legalized bribery, but if you dot every I and you cross every T and you do it technically within the guidelines, then, like, you're not a criminal, even though it is bribery, right? That's the kind of stuff they do, along with the occasional white lie here and there. And I'm sure there are some egregious liars, but nobody his level.
media, both at local level and national level, have pretty well been forensic about everyone that's in Congress, right? I mean, maybe not to quite the degree you've had to sustain it, because they knew with you they had basically a wounded animal, and if they kept going long enough, they'd probably find a load more. Right, you know, it's human nature. And you also claim to be a Wall Street hotshot who worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Your CV, again, your resume boasted of doubling revenue on a project at Goldman's. Is any of that true?
So this is where the resume doesn't, where I can defend my work career. I work for subsidiary groups and outside of those companies.
You never worked at Goldman's or Citigroup?
Not at them as a direct employee, but I did work for them on the LPGP side through conference organizing, fundraising attempts, and marketing of those fundraisers.
But you weren't an employee then. You weren't a Wall Street hotshot, right?
I can argue I've done very well in Wall Street.
But not for Goldman's or Citigroup?
Not directly for them.
I mean, neither of them told the New York Times that neither of them had any record of you ever being employed.
I've never worked directly for them. I was never on their books, but I've done work for them through other companies that I worked for. Yes, sir.
Your campaign bio claimed you ran a foundation.
Okay, again, so this is what he does throughout the interview. It's amazing. So, like, he sort of semi-fesses up to 2 or 3 of the lies. And, you know, there's a whole, oh, it's humbling, oh, it's embarrassing, okay, it is what it is, I apologize, yada, yada. But then, for the rest of the interview, he does the, well, you know, the thing about that is that if you look at it through this perspective from this iteration and you sprinkle in a little bit of that, then what happened is it's kind of true, but it's true if you're being a stickler for the particulars, and if you have to see it, that's from my perspective. So he fesses up to lying, then he immediately goes back to lying. Like, for example, this thing here about, you know, working for Goldman and Citigroup, and like, he told very bold, specific lies on that front, and now he backs away from it and says, no, I never really said it was with them in particular. Yes, you did. But, you know, it was with the company that was with them. I wasn't on their books. I was on the other company's books, and I did the conferences and the thing and the that. So he's lying again. It's a lie again. This guy is something special. They got to study his brain.
Foundation called Friends of Pets United in New York and New Jersey that saved 2,500 dogs and cats over a 5-year period. Is that true?
That's true. But I wasn't alone in the operation. There was a multitude of people. We were all volunteers. I was the operator. I was one of the, I think we were 7 founders, if I'm not mistaken, between New York and New Jersey. My advocacy in animal welfare and animal rights it stems from my childhood. I've always very compassionate towards animals. I own 4 dogs at home. They're all rescues to one sort. I call it the home of misfits. They're all unwanted, 3 legs, heart murmur, you know, issues like that. And now everybody is... After all the revelations about the organization, I wasn't in charge of any of the...
I mean, the weird thing is there were no social media accounts for it, no tax...
Those were all deleted.
Well, there were no the ones that anyone could find. No tax records, no evidence of the charity being registered in either New York or New Jersey. They did run one fundraiser with a rescue group in New Jersey in 2017, for which you charged a $50 entry fee, but the group which staged the event said it never received any funds. And
I can attest that that is not true.
He's right back to lying, bro. Right back to lying. The other thing he tries to weasel his way out of is there was a story that we covered on this show where he did a fundraiser, a GoFundMe thing for a homeless veteran and their sick puppy, and he took the money and ran. And the guy was furious. Tried calling him, couldn't get through to him. He just took the money and dipped. And he does the same thing he's doing here with that story also, where he's like, no, that's not exactly the thing about...
Funds all ran through the group, and the post of the facility was who was in charge of all of our filings. So this came to a surprise as much as...
But what happened to the tax records, to the social media accounts?
I wasn't in charge of any of that.
It was never set up as a charity even?
Well, I wouldn't know that. I was the operator. I was the guy putting cats out of the streets into my car, taking them to get...
I understand that, but
so I wasn't in charge of that.
I know, but when you say you're the operator of this foundation, and there's literally no record of any of it, it doesn't lend much credibility to your operational skills.
Like I said, I was...
Piers is, again, I have so many issues with this guy. He's so annoying to me. But then every now and then he does something like this where you're like, God damn, son. You're busting his ace. Goodness gracious.
Wasn't part of the administrative part of the group. We were 7 people. Everybody had their own tasks. My task was, George, go pick up this dog. Go pick up this cat. That was my task. Go deliver this adoption. And that was my involvement with the organization, and I quite frankly did it well. I still get a lot of message supports from people who adopted from us during the period of time I was involved.
Who would have all the records?
I don't know who would have all the records.
I mean, one of the 7 people that you work with?
I would assume somebody has the records.
Let's turn to, I mean, I think some of the stuff like that is an arguable point, potentially. Some of the stuff about your family life has caused, I would say, more offence if, as people believe, it wasn't true. And I want to turn to something that's obviously very personal to you, and that's your own mother. And this question of whether she was working, as you claimed, in her office in the South Tower of the Twin Towers on September the 11th, and then passed away, as you said, a few years later when she lost a battle to cancer. Now, there is no record of your mother, Fatima de Volder, ever having worked in the Twin Towers. So was that true?
That's true.
Why is there no record of her working there?
I don't know where people are looking or what they're looking for.
But there is, as you know, because of what happened afterwards, there's a record of everyone that worked there. There's no doubt about who worked there.
I'm sorry.
Well, there's no doubt about who was working.
Oh, this is so embarrassing, man. This is so embarrassing. I don't know. Did George Santos / Anthony DeValder / George DeValder, whatever he calls himself, whatever his actual name is, did he not expect this? Did he expect Piers to give him, like, softballs down the center of the plate? Because, man, this is bad.
Out of who worked in the buildings on
there was a full record done of everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm very aware. So the way that I look at this, and I've rested this case before, and respectfully, please, I won't debate my mother's life as she's passed in 16, and I think it's quite unsensitive for everybody to want to rehash my mother's legacy.
What a little weasel, man. Holy shit. I'm offended you would besmirch the honor of my wonderful mother. How dare you? Stop with the fake pious garbage. You know why people are questioning this, because everything you said was a lie, so this is a lie too. And if anything, it says more about you, that you took an issue like this, which is, in theory, to most people, beyond the pale when it comes to family members, and you're the one who put it front and center.
Okay, but hang on. Here's what I would say to that.
All right, let's. I got one more for you here. This is great.
People in Congress today.
Well, so much so you claim to be Jewish, but you're not Jewish.
I never claimed to be Jewish. I've always made a party favorite joke.
You claim to be Jewish.
Okay, so now pay attention exactly to what Piers says, because this is important. He has direct quotes from George Santos when he was on the campaign trail, when he was giving speeches, when he was out in public. He's going to give him the direct quotes, and then look at how George Santos deflects it.
Half Jewish, a proud American Jew, a Latino Jew, and a non-observant Jew. They're all direct quotes from you.
So
but you're not. You're
Piers,
a Catholic. Like me. I'm a Catholic.
Piers, I've always made this as a party favorite joke, and I've done it on stages across
What's
this country.
funny about falsely claiming you're Jewish?
No, not falsely claiming I'm Jewish. I'd always say I was raised Catholic, but I come from a Jewish family, so that makes me Jew-ish.
But again,
it's always been a party favorite. Everybody's always laughed. And now that
okay, so you see what he did there? Piers Morgan gives him direct quotes. You called yourself a Latino Jew, a gay Jew, a half Jew, a this Jew, a that Jew. And then when he's like, how do you respond to that? He goes, no, what I did was I said it as a joke at speeches and parties where I'd be like, yeah, you know, my great-grandfather, whatever, was Jewish, so I say I'm Jew-ish. But no, there's direct quotes of you calling yourself a gay Jew and a Latino Jew. So that's not that joke. The direct quote is not the thing that you're saying it was. God, bro, you're not even good at this. That's the offensive part, right? It's like, if you're going to be a pathological liar, at least up your game a little bit. Jesus Christ.
Everybody's canceling me. Everybody's pounding down for a pound of flesh.
Because you're not Jewish.
Well, I never said I was.
I've said you were.
And I would always say, but my grandparents are Jewish on my mother's side, so I'm Jew-ish. That was always a joke. Everybody used to laugh it up. I said it to a room with 1,000 people in November. People were hysterically laughing. It was funny to them. They loved it.
I don't think Jewish people find it funny.
They were Jewish. I was in a room with the Republican
Do you think
Jewish
Jewish
coalition.
people find it funny that a US congressman who's a Catholic with no apparent background of any Jewish heritage whatsoever, other than you say you have it, no one can find it? I think a lot of Jewish people would find that offensive.
I beg differ. When we were at the RJC in November.
The problem you have, Congress, it seems to me, is that you admit to certain big lies and then you deny other big lies. And the problem people have is they don't know when you're lying and when you're telling the truth. I'm not even sure now, because how can I be?
Like I said.
Occam's razor, he's always lying. I'm not even kidding. Occam's razor is he's always lying. The burden of proof is on him to show the opposite, that he's telling the truth. Your default assumption every time somebody like George Santos talks is to think he's lying. The default perspective is you're a liar.
Because you've claimed on campaign bios you went to this school and this volleyball team and achieved this degree and big Wall Street, big hits, and all these things turn out not to be true. So when you now look me in the eye and say, well, actually, no, this is true, I don't know what to believe.
No, I understand. And look, that's a position I've put myself in, right? My credibility is what I'm going to have a hard time and a long road to recover. And I stand clear and I stand certain that I'll be able to do that.
OK, let me ask you this. In an interview with New York Public Radio following your election, you said you lost 4 employees in the Pulse nightclub mass shooting in 2016. I reported on that. It was horrendous. But none of the 49 victims at that Orlando club worked at any of the companies that you've named in your biography. You said you lost 4 employees.
Those are the people.
Not 4 people who worked for you, 4 employees.
Bad choice of words, and I'm not the only one guilty of that, but that's essentially the raw story of what happened.
But no one could find any connection between any of the 49 victims and any of your companies. So where is the evidence for that?
I would venture calling the company and asking them on the record.
People in the media have done that.
No, they haven't. They haven't been able to attain any contact with the company.
Well, nobody can find any evidence that it's true.
Like I said, I'm reporting based on what was reported to us that morning.
You angrily denied. This is another one where it's quite interesting because I don't know why you would deny it when it was clearly turned out to be true, particularly after all the fury that had gone on. But you angrily denied being a drag artist after a Brazilian drag queen posted a picture of herself with you. You said the most recent obsession from the media claiming I'm a drag queen or performed as a drag queen is categorically false.
It is.
It's not, though, is it?
Piers.
Seen the pictures.
Hold on. I go out. So if I was a drag queen, I was the poorest drag queen in the world because I had one outfit in one day.
I'm not saying
the shortest lived career.
I'm not saying you were a good drag queen. I'm just saying you clearly dressed up in drag.
Once.
Oh, sorry, okay. That's like me saying
Rudy Giuliani
I'm not a murderer. I only killed one person.
No, I understand. But Rudy Giuliani dressed up in drag.
It's not a whataboutery.
Is he a drag queen?
I've got a lot of questions for Rudy Giuliani. Here's my point. You dressed up in drag.
Look, here's my point.
Here's my point. Why deny it?
I didn't deny.
Why attack the obsessive media for publishing a truth?
Because the media is not telling the truth. The media is portraying to the American.
They are.
They're portraying to the American people that I'm a drag performer, a career drag queen, which is offensive to drag queens, by the way.
He's such a Weasley liar. He came out like a bull in a china shop saying, like, lying media is lying again, or the drag queen thing. And then a couple days later, the picture surfaces or resurfaces, and a video drops. And by the way, Piers goes on to show the video here in a second. And then he's like, yeah, but, you know, bro, I only did it, like, once. And then eventually it'll be, I only did it, like, a couple times, bro. I'm like, all right, I only did it, like, a week. All right, I only did it for, like, a couple years. He had a drag name. I don't believe him. He did it for a long... I know... Now, there's nothing wrong with that. The issue is the lying, the relentless lying. By the way, I'm sure up to the point of the drag lie, Republicans were rolling with him the whole time. Like, that's our guy. He's in the club. You know, back off. Then as soon as we got to the point where it was like, oh, he dressed as a drag queen, they're like, okay, now you're done. Now you're done.
And I'm pretty sure most of the drag queens in New York City
Here's why they think that. Not just because you've admitted he dressed up in drag, but a 2011 Wikipedia bio for a user named Anthony DeVolder, one of your pseudonyms.
It's not mine.
It is his. He's like, it's not mine.
Following a successful drag career, you landed roles on Disney Channel shows like Hannah Montana and a role in a movie called The Invasion starring Uma Thurman. Now, either you did that under your pseudonym, which you have told me you use, or somebody has gone away and created their own Wikipedia bio using one of your pseudonyms to invent all this. Why would they do that?
I had no notion, idea, or even... I didn't know this Wikipedia page existed.
Why would someone invent you and pretend to be you in 2011?
I can't. All right, I can't do anymore. Probably my favorite part of the interview, which we actually didn't show here, is Piers Morgan brings up, hey, you know, you say you're gay. And he's like, I am. And then he's like, okay, but we have records, documents of you being married to a woman. And then he got divorced, but you were married to a woman for a while. And he's like, okay. And Piers is like, so do you stand by that you're gay? And he's like, yeah, I'm gay. Even if I'm being as kind to him as humanly possible, that would be filed under the bi category, because you would be attracted to both sexes. You know what? Are you going to tell me him and his wife never did the deed? Never got it poppin'? Never had intimate relations? If you do it with both sexes, you are by definition bisexual. Now, maybe you're, you know, in the attractiveness meter, maybe you're 70% more attracted to women or whatever, but if you're attracted to men and women, it doesn't matter, like, which way you lean, what your preference is. If you're actually attracted to both, we have a word for it. It's called bi. He lies in a way that tries to deny tautologies and definitions. Like, why would you do that? And okay, anyway, you guys get the gist of it. Man, this is crazy. Final point I want to make here is kind of a serious point. I don't want to overstate it, but it also is kind of true if you think about it. Unfortunately, this is like the ultimate American story, isn't it? It really is. Because, like, a lot of the people who make it to the top in this non-meritocracy that we live in, it's like, Who is the most shameless? Who is the most brazen? Who is the most ruthless? Who is the biggest liar? And a lot of those people make it to the top. Cold, heartless, calculated, Machiavellian, manipulative. And he's a perfect example. He made it to Congress. He made it to Congress. A guy who doesn't have an honest cell in his body. Forget bone. He doesn't have an honest cell in his body. He made it. That actually says a lot. It's a devastating conclusion, but it says a lot. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.